Whether we're playing in person or online, these are 7 free tools that I use in every session. From cheap minis to a shop catalog, an unusual way I use D&D Beyond, free VTT tokens, and more. Hopefully this video has something new for you. We're also going to look at the incredible amount of free content on dScryb. Thank you so much to dScryb for sponsoring this video and continuing to support the channel. Welcome to the table. I'm Kelly, and you're probably wondering, what sort of contrived B-plot are you going to come up with today? What sort of weird time wizard storyline are you going to try and shove in here? Not today. Today it's just the facts.
Any funny business, and you won't have any meals for a week.
Almost all these tools and resources I use for running both in-person games and online games. But there is one resource I use to get super cheap minis that's obviously only used for playing in person, and 2 programs I only use for playing online. This first one might be the most useful
Kelly, there's a portal being opened, and the only way to close it is to assemble the 7 gems hidden away in these free D&D tools.
Not today, Dave. By the way, some of these resources are specific to D&D, but many are generic and can be used for a bunch of different TTRPGs. This first one might be the most useful thing I've come across since I started running D&D. It is the incredibly in-depth D&D Shop Catalog. This is a PDF which contains pretty much everything that your characters could ever want to buy or sell, the type of shop that may have such an item, the cost, with normal, cheap, and expensive pricing, and whether it's widely available or if it should only be available in urban or premium locations. I use this document at least once a session. When your players say they want to go belt shopping, it's so nice to just look it up in the PDF, get them to roll a persuasion check to determine price, and then give them that price, without worrying about the economic ramifications of making up belt prices on the spot. Belts for 15 gold pieces?
That's not right.
I guess everyone in the world that isn't a noble either uses rope or walks around with their pants around their ankles now. Everything in the PDF seems fairly priced, and at the very least you'll be consistent if you always pull pricing from the document. It looks like it's currently on version 2.0.2, but there will be another version soon. Now, allow me to give credit by poorly pronouncing some Reddit usernames. Version 1 was made by u/jrobherring, versions 1.1 to 1.7 were done by u/lna-lisk, and versions 1.8 onward have been done by u/shinotama. If you only use one thing from the video, let it be this. I've linked it down in the description. Before we get into an unusual...
Come quick, there's a D&D based emergency that requires you
I'm gonna cut you off right there. I'm not interested. As I was saying, before we get into a potentially unusual way that I use D&D Beyond, let's go through a couple of tools that I use when we play online. The first is Discord, which is great, but we've recently started using one of the features in a new way that's been super fun. In case you don't know, Discord is a messaging, voice, and video chat app. Making a server is free, and then within the server, you can have different channels to organize your chats. We have a different channel for each campaign. You can also have different voice and video channels. In a recent one-shot that my friend Alec was running, we split the party briefly and made plans to meet up.
We'll have to split up to look for clues.
Split up?
During the time we were split up, he pulled the 2 groups into separate voice channels and we role-played separately trying to get to the rendezvous point without knowing if the other group was going to make it. This added so much fun tension, and it really mimicked having the DM pull someone into another room in real life to have a secret chat. Now you definitely want to use this sparingly, otherwise half your group is just going to be sitting around with nothing to do, but we were only split up for about 5 or 10 minutes in real life, which felt like the perfect amount of time to add some tension but not get boring. This next free tool is Kenku FM. All it does is route music into Discord, and it does it super well. You just need to add the Kenku bot to your Discord call, and then you can either stream audio files directly from your computer, or you can open tabs in the Kenku browser to stream music and sound from anywhere on the internet. One of the big advantages of this is that everyone can adjust their own music levels by adjusting the volume of the Discord bot. Even though you can stream audio directly to your players from within dScryb, I use Kenku FM with dScryb in my weekly home game so that my players can have one less tab open. Speaking of dScryb, let's look at the incredible number of free descriptions they have available, as well as the maps and music you can try out for free with the extended 30-day free trial. Thank you so much to dScryb for sponsoring this video. If you click on Scenes, then scroll down, then go to Free Scenes, it'll take you to the search page and filter by what's available for free. There are so many descriptions in here for characters, monsters, spells, dialogue, and a bunch of other categories. categories. If I'm building out an important character or location, I'll scroll through the descriptions and pick out my favorites to combine as inspiration. Some of the descriptions even have art attached. One interesting thing that I haven't seen from another subscription-based service is that if you subscribe to the annual plan for 1 year and then cancel, you'll get access to all the scenes that were available to you during that year for life. This only applies to the content under the Scenes tab, but still pretty cool that they essentially offer a one-time purchase option, and then you can decide if you want to subscribe again to update your library. dScryb also has interactive maps where they add pre-written descriptions that pop up as you mouse over different parts of the map. There are 3 maps available for free, and so many more that you can explore with the trial. As your players move around the map, you can easily use the interactive feature to read each description. dScryb's newest feature is their music and sound effects tool called Opus. They have over 6,500 music and sound effects tracks from Michael Gelfi Studios. Opus lets you combine ambiences, sound effects, music, and descriptions into blocks that you can use for different locations or moments in your campaign. Head to the link down in the description and use the code PowerWordSpill at checkout to get an extended 30-day free trial. The last tool I exclusively use for playing online could be used for in-person as well, but I think the resource we'll go over in a minute is even better for in-person. The token editor from Minute Tabletop. Okay, we definitely don't have the budget to put that on screen, so we're just gonna ignore it. The token editor from 2-Minute Tabletop is such a neat tool. Ross from 2-Minute Tabletop is a map and token artist, and they have a bunch of maps and tokens that you can get for free on their site. But they also made the token editor, which allows you to search through all of their tokens and then edit the colors of each token to make them your own. You can also use their encounter generator, which will take a CR and an environment and output tokens for an encounter of that difficulty. You can then download and use the tokens in a VTT, or you can print and cut them out. If you are printing them out though, I think Printable Heroes is the better option. When I first discovered Printable Heroes back in 2019, I was so stoked, and honestly I went a little overboard. I spent so much time printing and cutting out minis that I've never actually used. So I think if I started again, I'd just print them out as I need them for specific encounters to save time. Printable Heroes is a site that contains art for printable paper minis and terrain. This is such an awesome option for affordable minis and terrain. They're pre-formatted with cut and fold lines, so you can cut them out, fold them in half, put them in the base, and then you have a cheap, double-sided mini that looks great. I got mine printed at Staples on some really nice photo paper, so they look great, and they just cost a few dollars for a whole bunch of minis. You can either use the printable base that they come with, or I've been using binder clips, which work really well and add some weight to them. They also have terrain, so you can make some double-sided, reusable terrain tiles. Let me know down in the comments if you'd like to see a full video on cheap paper terrain and minis. I use D&D Beyond to get some free content, but I also use it as a search tool for the physical books that I already own. I'll explain that part in a minute. There's actually quite a bit of free content on D&D Beyond, more than enough to get started without buying anything. Some of it's kind of hidden away though, and there's no way to filter the content by price. The caveat is that all this does require making a free account. Let's start with free adventures. It seems that when Wizards releases a new book, they sometimes also release an adventure to act as a sample. Some of these are only available to claim for a limited amount of time, but sometimes they're available indefinitely. Once you claim it to your account, it'll be in there forever. As far as I know, the only way to figure out which adventures are free is to click on them one by one and check. To save you the time, I've done that and I've linked all the free ones down below. On the D&D Beyond blog, they used to run a series called Encounter of the Week, in which they designed an encounter every week. Some of them use monsters from the basic rules and some don't, but you can pick through them as inspiration. There are 2 links down in the description that filter by tag to show the free encounters and adventures from the blog. Alright, on to the monster search. Under the Advanced Filters tab, you can filter monsters by source. If you just want to see the free ones, just put in Basic Rules and Free Rules 2024. This will show you everything available in the SRD and show the full stat blocks for those monsters. I've also found that this can be a really useful tool for searching and filtering monsters from the physical books I own. If you own any physical books for 5e, but don't own the content on D&D Beyond, you can still add them to this source filter. Often I'll be looking for a monster in a specific CR range and of a certain creature type. Rather than going through each of my books to look at all the options, I can filter by creature type, CR, and many other things to get a complete list of monsters across all of the books that I own. Then I can take that list and look through those specific books for each of the monsters that fit my criteria. I found that doing this has helped me rediscover monsters I've forgotten about, and made me realize how much more there is to discover in the books that I already own. Now obviously this only works for content that's available on D&D Beyond, but as they continue to bring more publishers players on, this will become more and more useful. Roll20 has a similar filtering tool in their compendium, but for some reason whenever I've tried using it, the page hasn't loaded correctly. But they do have more sources available, so if you can get it working, it might be a better option. And the last free tool available on D&D Beyond is the character sheet creator. This is what we used when we first started playing, and it really made the game more approachable. It's definitely not perfect, and I have issues with how they implemented the artificer features, but I think it's a good place to start for new players and DMs. I started making a list of all the free tools I use for running and playing D&D, and realized it was way too much to put in one video, so this will be the first in a series. But if you don't want to wait for the rest of them to come out, I've compiled a list of all my favorite free resources over on Patreon at the $5 tier, along with modular magic items, the no prep one-shot, a building guide for the dice crossbow, and extra content. Thank you so much to my patrons, I really appreciate you supporting the channel. There is one more free tool. Of course I had to include my own free NPC generator, which is absolutely something I use every session. It's really helped me with my NPC voices and descriptions. I already released an update to fix the dark mode issues, and I'm working on the next improvements as well. You can check out this video here to learn all about it, how to get it for free, and everything that it can do. I appreciate you.